Next up, we have David Bornoff, head of brand marketing for DoorDash. He'll be joining the stage, and it's perfect timing because it's getting close to lunch on the East Coast, and your girl's getting a little hungry. Also joining David is Ryan Detert, CEO of Influential, who will moderate. Ryan, if you're there, please take it away.
Ryan, let's unmute. Yes.
Hey, can you guys hear me now?
What up?
Hey, bro. Good to see you. How's life? I know we're on a 30-minute truncated time schedule. Everyone's trying to usher us through, but it's good to see my old friend. How's life?
Dude, things are good. I got a text message from my mom 15 minutes ago saying she was going to join this thing. So there's that. Speaking of,
can we say hi to mom together?
Yeah, influencers and creatives. Hi, mom. What's happening? How are you?
I'm good, man. I wanted to dive right in and talk about things I didn't know about you. So I did not know that previous to your, the meteoric rise of you and DoorDash as leaders in the space, you were actually at Pandora as a music aficionado. So I'd love for you to tell the team, the people, a number of brand marketers today from QSR space and the music spaces in between, how did you translate between your passion for music and for food into what you're doing today?
Yeah, cool. So first, thanks, friend Innovators, and hello, everyone out there. Stoked to be here. I've been tuning in over the last couple of days, just like soaking all of this in with my notebook out, just like, as my mom texted me, I was like, I'm not going to swear during this thing, and already dropped the F-bomb. Failing. Yeah, so music, food, I mean, I think like the thread is like passion, right? Things that resonate with people, things that we can rally around, things that have and represent like culture have always been important to me. So I went to art school. I mean, all the way back, I went to an art high school, art undergraduate school, did a master's degree in art study. Like I had this vision of just being like a working artist. Turns out you can't really live off of being a working artist and having credit card debt. So it sort of transitioned over to advertising. But I think the thing that I like connected to then that still really holds true today is I care about the things that like move the heart. And I think music is one of those things. Food happens to be one of those things. The more time that I spend at DoorDash, the less I think about it as food and more about like all of the things that sort of bring us joy. If I worked in sports, I'd probably have the same talk track, gaming, and you name it, right? These are just things where like we can spend time and be moved. So the thread has really just continued, and it's like, what matters to people, what matters deeply, and finding that, and then turning that into, ways of communication. I mean, you guys do this in your business, and I think like that has become really the like singular thing that matters most to me. It's just like, how do I take something that like moves our heart and turn it into something that also like hopefully will move your preference and opinions and spend some time with us.
100%. Yeah, the emotive ability of content. I was still talking about in a minute about the short form kind of explosion happening in TikTok and in Reels, etc. But I do have one follow up. I know you're a '90s hip hop guy. Put you on a spot here. I didn't pre-prep him with this. If you had to pick one artist from the '90s, alive or dead, it's okay. What song would you pick, or what like artist would you pick to collaborate for DoorDash?
Man, such a powerful question that will offend so many people that don't get the answer. So we actually did an ad with Gift of Gab the other last week before. He recently passed away, but from a personal like fan perspective, I think the Fireside probably like influenced me more than any other like 90s rap group out there.
I mean, yeah, passing me by.
Hi.
I learned all the best your mama jokes from that song.
I mean,
Yeah.
I was having a conversation with one of our marketers in Germany, and I had mentioned passing me by, and it's like, I'm not familiar. And I was like, hold on, let me send you the link. And immediately I was like, oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's a rap opera. It's like a whole story of growing up as a kid. It's amazing. Yeah. I'm not pitching it as an official, influential, creative concept, but I think the idea of, and he's still alive and around today, obviously. I think Ice Cube today was a good day. Just that kind of vibe of like getting a DoorDash and having that, your Sunday going off just right. That might be a play for us. I don't know. We'll see. Well, let's get back to the the matter at hand of advertising. This is an advertising group here. They're going to be curious about who's your audience, and you've told us, I think maybe and everyone, that really anyone with a mouth is your audience. But we think of custom audiences, segmentation. How do you think about doing that across a pretty wide spectrum of people, obviously, and then aligning that to your creative and your platform?
Yeah. So I think we started when we were exclusively in food. That was the default, right? Like our audience is anybody who can eat. It's sort of broadened and that notion of everyone stays true, but now it's not just everyone with a mouth, but anyone who needs something from their neighborhood is our audience. As DoorDash moves into new verticals and brings more selection to folks, I think we have two things to do. One is identify what all of those need states are, and then find the right way, the right entry point to address those audiences who need those things, and do it in a way that builds deep empathy that isn't just taking GA messaging and blasting it across, the widest range of folks who it may or may not resonate with. How do we go about doing that tactically? I think we do what most marketers do, right? Let's identify the opportunity, the TAM, go with our priority segments, the ones who are going to give us the greatest ROI in both the short term, but also help us build long-term brand equity, all of the stuff that everybody on this call already knows. I think the thing that we do, and when I say we, I don't do any of this. This is my team is at this point, they're the stars. I just get to represent everybody else's great work. But the thing that I think we can do well at DoorDash is be specific, right? When we find who that audience is that we care about in any given quarter or half of the year or annual plan, the one that we want to prioritize, or usually it's the multiples, we go deep. And I can give a couple examples. I think the one that really stands out for me is the work that we're starting to do with our Hispanic audiences. It's easy to treat Hispanic as one large homogenous group across the United States. It's not, right? Hispanic Americans in Los Angeles look very different than Florida or New York. And the way that we're really thinking about how do we get both specific, meaningful, and contextually relevant for those audiences is where, we do that through a combination of things. There's a ton of tactics, but really it's finding, and this is apropos to our conversation, it's using the voice of the audience. So influencers, creators, I think you're better suited to talk about what the definition of an influencer is today, but I think it's evolved, right? It's beyond just, I'm a person with a platform and a microphone. It's I'm a creator. I'm a person who is shaping the culture as well, and aligning with those people and letting them do the communication has really, for us, become a recipe for success. Lots of words.
Yeah, no,
words.
Yeah. Yeah, we watched a number of campaigns that have evolved, and one that's really unique and specific. And actually, I'm not sure the acronym actually stands for. I just know what it is. But for the Hispanic Heritage Month, we used an ASMR influencer that essentially uses sound and touches the microphone and all supposed to be soothing, and it's the whole thing. It's the whole like sub talk. And it was just it was just like, as much as it was about Hispanic heritage, it was very specific to passions inside of Latinx communities. So yeah, it really is. It gets down the rabbit hole, and you don't have to be a multi-million follower influencer or creator to drive results. You could be someone that has tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, that really speaks to a specific audience.
Yeah, and I think like the more specific you can get, right, like the better the result, the more it's going to resonate, because I think it amplifies itself. Like you to your point, like you can be a micro influencer or have a smaller audience, but if you have a more powerful voice, that message is going to resonate deeply. We care about long-term customers. We care very much about creating like repeat behavior. So I'll take the 100,000 customers that are super sticky and come back any day, right? And I think like that's where the strength in being able to identify like, who is that 1, 2, 3, 5 people who are able to like deeply move an audience. That's the sweet spot.
And I love the way it's actually come to fruition in the campaign. So I think people think of like the B2C side of like going to people that anyone from mouth. We did a campaign together, and I'm sure you guys have a whole division that's focused on this, is the Dasher side, which is the driver piece. So yeah, talk about how you're using talent and influencers either previously or going forward, part of getting people to be drivers and dashers, because that some of that content that was made was both fun, hilarious, and really kind of unique. It's a different kind of angle you're taking with people.
Yeah. So Emma Glazer, who leads our Dasher marketing team, she's just a killer, and like she was she convinced me and other like marketing leadership of like what we sort of all like probably thought was true, but proved it out, which is like the Dasher community in and of itself has these like powerful influencers amongst them. There's like a very driven set of a very like strong set of Dashers who are out there already creating content, particularly around like, what does it mean to be a driver? What is it? What are like the benefits of driving with DoorDash? Like all of the stuff that, and some of it is like tactical, but then there's also the aspirational stuff, which I think she's done an incredible job leveraging, which is like, why are people dashing? Because it's not always obvious. Like there are people who are out there dashing for like to hit a goal. And that goal might be something like, I want to go take a vacation. I want to go do this thing that I need to earn some extra income for. And DoorDash like happens to be one of those places that you can do that. They then turn those sort of experiences into content, and that content becomes shareable. And like that word aspirational, I think, is important because they're then influencing other folks who are like, well, I want to go do that thing too. And you're letting me see the world that you're like living in or have like opened up for me. And we find that resonates, like, and then we tie it to like seasonality, right? Like I'm a student, college student, summer started, I'm out of school, I have free time. What can I do? And so like, those are the things that we then turn into marketing, right? So taking these like seasonal campaigns, creating content around like, hey, got a couple extra hours, like we have a way for you to spend that time.
Got it. Well, and so you're telling these different stories, and people are showing their what makes them passionate, what kind of goals they're going after. And listen, people, we did TikTok campaigns back in 2018, 2019, but nothing like 2020, 2021. Like it's the short form explosion really kind of happened, especially post-pandemic or post-pandemic start. How have you and the POV of all the people you work with changed, as TikTok and Instagram Reels and Triller and dozens of these apps that are popping up that are all about essentially instant gratification of content being put in someone's face. How does that change how you guys think about marketing?
It's a new creative expression, right? I personally, like, I still watch 1960s black and white films from like the French New Wave that move in slow motion almost. So the personal adjustments are like 3-second content, 6-second content, 15-second clips that are like telling an entire story. I can't wrap my head around it, but I don't need to. I think like the beauty of working with creators, working with influencers, working with people who live and breathe this stuff is that I don't need to be the expert in the room. I get to lean on the people who this is native to. So really it's like the brief stays the same. The brief doesn't need to change. The deliverables are the thing that the experts are going to be able to build in a meaningful, in a relevant way. And I think our task as marketers, as owners of the brief, as people that are ultimately accountable to the outcome, is really just to be able to like see the connection back to the brief itself. So in the work, are we able to see how the dots are being connected? Not what the like content necessarily becomes, because again, in this space, it's like, it's different for everybody. That's the strength of using influencers, right? Like you get 1,000 people, you're going to get 1,000 different executions, different creative outcomes, and they're going to be dramatically different, even based on the same brief, because they're talking to their audience and they know what their audience responds to. There's, and I think like it's a very like important point there, right? Is being able to like, I think, give not the creative control, but being able to flex to the notion of this like array, this variety of content that doesn't look the same, but all functionally like addresses a brief is something that increasingly matters. So if there's like a tie back to like the explosion of short form video, I think it's really more like the adaptability of marketers to deal with like changing environments, content that changes. Because it's going to change again, right? Like short form might turn to long form, might turn to who the heck knows what's next year, 5.
Probably
you know more than I know because it's your job.
You know, definitely the next. If you want to see what the future looks like, just look to APAC, and they're about 2 years ahead of us. So this is big there, and that's live streaming and live shopping is big. So I think 2022 will be the biggest year for live. So we'll see a lot of that happening on TikTok, on Instagram, on Amazon, on up to Twitch of the world. So hopefully we can figure out some live campaigns, and that'd be fun.
No, I love it. I was super excited just to see QR codes come back because people are finally able to interact with them.
Throwbacks.
Yeah.
I actually like your idea. I think we should make like short form, like French black and white subtitled TikTok. I think that would resonate really well.
As long as we don't tie it to any goals or business outcomes, I think that will be. Let's do it.
That's Q4. That's Q4 dump money for sure.
Yeah.
Well, here, so you talked about like the adaptability. What is? I'm curious what your POV is, and if it's yours or the overall, DoorDash. Because there's communities, and then there's trends, and trends can be inside communities, but largely, for example, people most often think of trends on TikTok or these platforms as dance trends or music trends. So you can use that or any other trends. How do you guys look at trying to essentially like look at, all right, what just popped off and how do I jump on it? Or are you like, you know what, we'll make our own trends, or how do you guys think about those things?
Yeah, I think it's similar to like the last thing we were just talking about, which is I want to work with the people who are ahead of those trends or who are like so dialed in that they know what the thing is to make. And I really, I believe this, like, I don't think the brief ever really needs to change. It's almost like, and I think this is working with like influencers probably more specifically than any other type of creator, is like, it's their job to be deeply tuned into what the latest trend is, what the way to keep their audience engaged is. And, at scale, again, it's like, how am I going to know what that means for every single audience everywhere, going deep across all the demographics, across all the psychographics? Like, I don't need to, because what we get to do is hold the creator, the influencer, accountable to delivering for their audience the thing that matters. So, I think like trends come and go, they come back. We were talking about 90s hip hop. Like, who would have thought that my 17-year-old niece is like walking around wearing a Seinfeld hat? Like, these things, when I joined DoorDash, people were like, "Oh, cool, you joined DoorDash." They thought we were reviving the jean company, because like, hey, why not bring it
Amazing.
back? So so I think like the sort of question within the question is like, how do you just build community and keep that community engaged throughout whatever the like wavy trends that come and go are? And I think that's where getting really close to the audience becomes like the most important part. And that's job number one. Is I want our customers to stay with us. I want them to be perpetually engaged. And I want them to like, if they're on TikTok, if they're on any of these platforms, like, I also want to give them the content that's entertaining and that they're there, that they came there to consume, right? So it's like, how do we do that? How do we make it frictionless? How do we make it seamless? How do we do all of the stuff that, creates at least a great experience on that platform? Because I want us to be associated with that positive side of things versus like, why did you just serve me that DoorDash content in the middle of this thing that looks nothing like what I would expect from DoorDash? That's like a terrible outcome.
Exactly. Well, speaking of trends, I'm curious. Actually, I don't know the answer to this. You've probably seen her, in press, or maybe just you follow her. Emily, I think it's pronounced Zuge, is the revamping logos lady, the one that does it on TikTok that makes that. Has there been a DoorDash communication? Have you guys done any sort of DoorDash logo rebranding?
I have not personally had any communication, but I would love to see what she does. I saw the what was it, the HR block rebrand?
Yeah.
Epic.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, then the misspelled Amazon, and then Amazon sent the misspelled stuff to her. I mean, just that's the fun part. It's the conversation now. It's great.
He's incredible. Yeah.
Well, all right. Let's go out of trends for a moment and say something. This obviously it will always exist in marketing. So consumer first marketing, the idea of having a mission and doing something obviously good, or a larger narrative beyond just the functionality of an app or functionality of a product. I'd love for you to talk about what you guys have done in the past and kind of what your guys' POV is on, consumer first marketing.
Yeah. I don't think there's marketing if it's not consumer first. Like, you can spend some dollars on advertising a thing, but you're probably not going to get great results over time. I think like it has to be consumer first. It almost goes back to the original, like, the first thing we talked about, like music, food, like it all is kind of irrelevant if you're not putting the consumer at the center of it. So I think like there's a temptation to sometimes go like deep into the functional benefits of a thing versus backing out and going, well, what does that actually mean for a person? What is that solving for the person who's ultimately being asked to use it? I don't care if it's DoorDash or Pandora or anything, frankly, it's what problem am I solving for somebody? A lot of the time you might derive like an answer that might feel more functional. I'm saving you X dollars off of your delivery, and I'm going to get it to you in a certain amount of time. And I can tell you that, and that's very rational, and that might make sense to you in the moment and be like a motivating factor, but it isn't going to build a connection with the brand. Like, I work within this space. I don't care if my thing comes in 25 minutes or 26 minutes. I can't decipher that nuance of 60 seconds. But what I can decipher is, does this brand care about me? So like, does it know something about me that helps in my purchase making decision? Does it care about other things that I care about? Does it resonate when I think about like, well, what am I passionate about? And is this a business that's there to meet me? So going back to the passion points, right? Like I care deeply about, I don't, but I care deeply about football and sports. No offense, I'm a cyclist that hasn't rode a bike in like 5 years, but say I care deeply about sports. Can I see DoorDash show up in that world? And can I form a connection with them vis-a-vis the NBA? And if I can, amazing. That's going to help me make a decision more than did they win on delivering something 5 seconds faster or 5 minutes faster, frankly. There's a stat, and I forget, I'm going to get the attribution wrong, so I'm not going to try, but differentiating on features, like your feature has to be 10x better than the previous one. That's hard to do in a space where like people are building products at lightning speed. I think the thing that you can stand out with is brand purpose, having a vision, having a value set. You know, I think being able to articulate like, why do we exist, and have that transcend just being like here to get something from A to B, but really like in our case to empower local communities, to give access to opportunity, to create sustainable solutions for merchants to thrive, for dashers to earn extra income, for consumers to get the best of their neighborhood, and then to also have agency and contributing to empowering their local communities. Like that's something that I can get behind. That's something that like I believe in. I think it's something that customers believe in, even if they don't know it at the time, right? Like it's also the thing of, hey, you just wanted this cheeseburger delivered to your house. Did you also know that by doing that, you supported a local business? You gave a dasher an opportunity to earn by coming to your house to do that thing. I think that's like powerful and not something like, it also comes with a lot of responsibility, right? Because now you have to like manage that communication flow versus just saying like, order from us, will be there soon.
I love that. You know, it's the ripple effect. From creators being a small business to drivers being an entrepreneurial small business,
100%.
Local restaurants. Yeah, it's just you guys are the connecting glue. So I think
no,
we're
how
getting
insane is that, right? Like, I love what you just said. Like it's like there's our business, which is this sort of has that network effect and this virtuous cycle, but then like you pull in the creator and you're also giving them an opportunity. You pull in gift of gab to create a track, you're giving him an opportunity. There's this like, and that is part of the way we think about it. And I see that. I think we're being
pulled up. Just to kind of piggyback on that, and then we'll hand it off to you. And it's a very kind of big statement. I've said it to my company all the time. I think the meaning of life, and there's all the different philosophical and religious meanings. To me, it's creativity and it's collaboration. So those two things are the cornerstones for whether it's commerce, whether it's capitalism, whether it's family, whether it's friends. Those two things happen at the same time. Then you're doing something right. There's a reason to get up in the morning. So keep on doing those two things, David. And I really appreciate you making time for us today.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, David and Ryan. One thing, real quick, if we're going to talk 90s hip hop and DoorDash, how did Craig Mack Flavor in Your Ear not come up? Come on. It's I'm no marketing genius here, but that's an easy one. That's a layup.
I'll tell you exactly why. I'm a West Coast kid.
Okay. Touche. I'm a Jersey girl, so that came right on up.
If I were East Coast, I would have a whole different list. Wu-Tang's at the top of that.
Very true. Very true. All right. Thanks so much, guys. Thank you for your time.
Thanks so much.
Our next session will be with the CMO of Mary Kay, Cheryl Atkins Green. Cheryl's business experience includes global business development, strategic planning, and contract negotiations. She holds an MBA from Harvard and is a Forbes top 50 CMO influencer.